Good morning, everyone. Today we will be discussing about statistics of microcanonical, canonical, and grand canonical ensemble. So here we will be mainly discussing about the quantum statistics of microcanonical and canonical grand canonical ensemble. Okay, so we'll start with microcanonical ensemble first, then we'll proceed with the other cases. Okay, so whenever we have a microcanonical ensemble, so we know that in that state, for microcanonical case, we'll have the number of particle, volume, and energy will be constant, okay, which will be a fixed quantity in this case. And also we say that this energy will vary from what? E minus delta by 2 to E plus delta by 2, which we introduced in order to say the compensate the energy fluctuations. And also we say that the interval between this will be delta. So delta is the interval between these two energy level. In that location we will obtaining the phase space, that is a micro state will be observing on the that particular energy interval. Okay, now if I say the microstate of NVE, where gamma we know that we represent it is as the microstate representation. Okay, so NVE delta, so we say that, so this microstate is depending on the number of particle, volume, energy, and the particular energy interval. And which is this gamma is actually meaning is what we know that it is actually representing the number of microstate. Okay, so that's we already said. And now when we represent the density matrix that we discussed in the last class, we said that rho mn, which is actually representing the diagonal matrix, so which we call it as a density matrix, and which will be a diagonal matrix that we have seen in the last class, and where this diagonal value will be basically representing the energy representation. Okay, so which will be an energy representation it will be saying. And I can say that the density matrix for this case, okay, so the density matrix in this situation, I can explain that that is rho mn is equal to rho n delta mn. And we say that where delta mn is actually representing a Dirac delta function, when m is equal to n, delta mn will be equal to 1. Okay, when m not equal to n, then delta mn will be equal to 0. Okay, so in that situation, so I can say that delta mn is a Dirac Kronecker delta function, okay, that we have discussed it similar many times before as well. And here this rho n density matrix has a diagonal elements. Rho n means we'll be only taking the diagonal elements here. So this will be equal to 1 by gamma. Okay, so this is the number of accessible microstates. Okay, so this is the number of accessible microstate. And when I said that rho n equal to 0, that is a density matrix is 0, then it will be for other states. Okay, so for an accessible state, so 1 by gamma is representing the density matrix will be equal to 1 by gamma. And this is how we'll define a density matrix. Density matrix is basically rho mn equal to rho n delta mn. Okay, when m equal to n, so then delta mn will be equal to 1. So that is rho mn equal to rho n. Okay, so what is rho n? That is a density matrix corresponding as a diagonal matrix, which is equal to 1 by gamma, where gamma is the number of microstate. So that means 1 by gamma means 1 by the number of that microstate, means it is an accessible states, or the probable state within that number, we can say in that aspect. And rho n equal to 0 means it will be for other for non-accessible state, so density matrix will be equal to 0. So in that way also we can define the density matrix. And now if I set the statistics of this one, then I can consider the thermodynamic relations basically. Okay, thermodynamic relations, when it comes to mine, what we can say that basically we know that S is equal to, where S is the entropy. Okay, this is the entropy. S is equal to K B L N gamma. This is a familiar equation that we have done many times. Okay, and now if I say that if there is a pure case, what is a pure case means there exists only one microstate. Okay, so that is a pure case, that is the entire macrostate is covered with a single microstate. Okay, and or rather I can say that this single microstate can be treated as a macrostate as well. And anyway, the pure case means we are only taking into consideration, one second, so only one microstate means we can say that gamma equal to 1. Okay, so if gamma equal to 1, if I substitute in this equation, then I will be getting the entropy will be equal to what? Entropy will be equal to 0. Okay, that is ln 1 means that will be 0, that is entropy will be 0, and this particular condition we call it as what? This is third law of thermodynamics. Okay, dynamics. Okay, and this S is equal to, when gamma equal to 1, S is equal to 0, this we also call it as Nernst equation. Okay, Nernst equation in that factor. And what we observe in this case is that will have only one density matrix corresponding to that. So let me just say that, so this matrix, the density matrix I'll be representing, it is a square matrix we already know, and this square matrix will be have the elements like this, and we'll have the only one element on one diagonal, and this will be 0 0 0, and this is how the diagonal matrix that is representing above pure condition of microstate. That is, if there is only one microstate, then rho will be equal to 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 0 0. And there is also, if you take a representation that we call it as dou square, rho square equal to rho. So whenever you examine, you will be identifying that rho square will be equal to rho. That is, if you take the square of this matrix for a pure case, if you take the square of the matrix, then it will be equal to rho itself, and which is called idempotent law. Okay, idempotent law. So okay, how do we get this one? So we'll just examine by taking an example, and proof of this one, I can say that the proof corresponding to this one I'll be representing rho mn will be equal to 1 by n sigma k am k an k star. Hope you remember what we have done in the last class. In the same fashion, you do that, this will be equal to am an star. And now in this way, if I do represent what is rho square mn, rho square mn will be equal to sigma l. Let me just represent that fashion. This will be equal to rho ml and rho ln. So which is equal to sigma l am al star. Okay, then al am star. Okay, so that is equal to, which I can represent, sorry, this will be an, right? So n will be there, so that is equal to sigma l, I can represent it as am an star. that is equal to, we know that this is equal to what? This is equal to rho. Okay, so this is what we have proven here, is that we have get in the same representation, we basically getting a m and a star, which already we obtained, and here also we are getting the same, and that is we can say that rho mn square will be equal to rho mn. Okay, so this is a proof of the idempotent law I have mentioned above there. Okay, so if you take the square of the density matrix, that is equal to the density matrix itself. Okay, now we'll consider a case, we'll have mixed case. Earlier we consider a pure case, now we are considering mixed state. That means we have more than one, we have more than one microstate is there in the system. Okay, in the microcanonical system, that means gamma is greater than 1. Okay, so in that situation, so let me just take a n k equal to a e raised to I theta n k. Okay, so a n k equal to a e raised to I theta n k. So we know that rho mn is equal to 1 by n sigma k a m k a n star, and sorry, it was okay, a m n k star. And now in this case I can substitute the representation a n k with the this one. So this I can write it as 1 by n sigma k. So a m k I can write it as sigma k a e raised to I theta m k k, and similarly a n k star I can represent e raised to minus I theta n k. Okay, because it is actually n k star means actually the complex conjugate, that's why here minus I theta k. Okay, so we are taking the complex conjugate, so wherever we have a complex number I, you take it as a minus I when you take the complex conjugate of that representation. And now in this scenario what I do here is that I'll be just taking 1 by n outside, and similarly I can take this a outside from this representation, that is a into a, we'll have mod a square I can represent, and we'll have e raised to I theta m k minus theta n k. That is where we can represent 1 by n sigma mod a square, which I can represent it like we'll just take it as a constant, that is c e raised to I theta m k minus theta n k. Okay, so that is rho mn equal to c delta mn. Okay, so whenever I represent like this, so the density matrix in this case will be rho mn will be equal to c delta mn. So this will be the possible accessible state. Okay, and otherwise it will be 0. Okay, and now if you consider this density matrix, okay, so if you consider the density matrix, if the diagonal elements, okay, if the diagonal elements is non-zero, so if it is non-zero, and the other case will be the off diagonal elements, okay, off diagonal elements. So off diagonal elements are 0. If that is scenario, then we call it as random a priori. So in random a priori, what we have take it as, whenever we have a condition, so we don't think about the experimental possibility of that and how we deduce this representation. Rather, we more concentrating on how do we deduce the representation. That's why we call it as random a priori. Okay. So if you consider a case of pure case, we already say that pure case is the case where rho mn is equal to 1 by gamma. Okay, 1 by gamma 0. So which we call it as equal a priori. That is, we are giving equal weightage to the accessible state and to the non-accessible state. Okay, and when you consider the mixed state, mixed case, what we obtained is that rho mn is equal to, we have obtained is that, so the density matrix will be equal to C delta mn and 0. So which we call it as a random a priori, because the weightage that is given for each one will be separate. And how do we reduce this one is that we use a deductive theory as. So this a priori is a kind of probability measures. So where the probability, it is derived purely from the deductive reasoning. That means, so we'll be deriving the probability by principle of indifference, for example, which has a character of saying that if there are n mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive events, if they are equally possible, then the probability of given event occurring will be taking as 1 by n. Okay, and now if you say that similarly the probability of a given event, given collection of events is k, then we'll be taking k by n. Now if you take the example of this one pure case where 1 by gamma we have taken, we know that gamma is representing the number of microstates. Okay, so this is a equal priori, that is we have given the equal weightage to the number of particle present if it is mutually exclusive in that respect. Okay, so when I say that representation in statistical mechanics, we can say that the it is basically the ratio of the number of elementary events to the total number of events. Okay, and this considered purely deductively without doing any experimentation. That's why we call it as a priori probability. Okay, so classical mechanism, it has a lot of importance because we will be only saying that it is a ratio of the elementary events to the total number of events. For example, if you take the consideration of the number of times die you are thrown on the air and the possible outcomes, if you take the total number of events, so it is a ratio between the number of events you are thrown the die with respect to the total number of events. Okay, so here we know that it is actually taking the ratio of possible one state at the total number of microstate. Okay, so there is a equal a priori, and there are cases it will be random a priori, and the weightage of possibility, the probability of getting these values, if it is random, then we call it as random a priori. And a priori probability is a very important in classical statistical mechanical case. Okay, you can detail understand detail if you interested more. So it's only saying is that we were giving an equal importance to the probable events there, and without doing any experimentation, rather by deductive reasoning, by deducing by certain theoretical aspect. Okay, so that was the case of a priori. And we also started the discussion regarding the microcanonical case, and now we'll move on to the case of canonical ensemble case. So we basically addressing the statistics of microcanonical, canonical and grand canonical ensemble, and next will be canonical ensemble discussion on quantum statistics. In canonical ensemble, we know that we will be number of particle, temperature which will be fixed in this case. Okay, and we know that the probability is proportional to what? It is proportional to e raised to minus beta er. This is a proportionality, not alpha. Okay, pr, that is the probability of occurring the event r at energy at the distance r. We can say that pr proportional to e raised to minus beta er. And here in this case, if you say the density matrix corresponding to the representation, so which is equal to rho mn is equal to rho n delta mn, and rho n we can say that so the rho n, the diagonal element rho n will be equal to c into e raised to minus beta en. Okay, and now if you take the trace of the given density matrix, then already we say that trace of the density matrix will be equal to 1. Okay, hope you remember that. And in that aspect, I can say that c will be equal to, this constant c will be equal to what? 1 by sigma e raised to minus beta en. Okay, so that is equal to 1 by qn, where qn is the partition function we already discussed earlier. Okay, and now rho n, by substituting this constant in this equation, so rho n will be equal to e raised to minus beta en divided by sigma e raised to minus beta en. Okay, so that is equal to e raised to minus beta en. This is, we know that it is sum of the all the diagonal elements. So this, I can say that this partition function is the sum of all the diagonal elements. So I can represent this will be equal to trace of, okay, trace of e raised to minus beta en. You can represent it like this. Okay, now we have discussed a function which is called, if you take the average, okay, delta g. Okay, if you take the average of a function, so which is equal to, we have seen that, which is a trace rho g. Hope you remember that we have done that exercise in the earlier last class. So here I can represent the trace e raised to minus beta en g divided by trace e raised to minus beta en. Okay, so this I can further represent as the average value of g, which is equal to, as it is similar as taking trace of g e raised to minus beta en divided by trace of e raised to minus beta en. Okay, so these are the two important aspects regarding grand canonical ensemble we need to, canonical ensemble case we need to identify. So first thing we identified that, so rho n is equal to sigma rho n equal to c into e raised to minus beta en, and c we identified that 1 by sigma e raised to minus beta en, that is 1 by the partition function qn, and we substituted the representation rho n is equal to e raised to minus beta en by trace e raised to minus beta en, and we identified the average quantity g. Now we'll move on to the next one, that is grand canonical case. Grand canonical ensemble quantum statistics, and here we know that here mu volume, that is chemical potential, volume, temperature will be fixed in this case, and the probability representation will be equal to PR proportional to e raised to minus alpha nr minus beta es. Okay, so that is rho equal to, I can represent that e raised to minus alpha nr minus beta es divided by grand partition function. Okay, so that is equal to e raised to minus alpha nr minus e raised to minus beta es. We know that density matrix is a representation of the probability representation. So that's why we are taking it like in that fashion. So we know that it is beta es. This is how the grand partition function will look like. Okay, so here I will be getting rho equal to the density matrix rho will be equal to e raised to minus alpha nr minus beta es divided by, so this is equal to equivalent to what, taking the trace of the all the energy states corresponding to that, so that is beta es. Okay, so this is a density matrix representation for grand canonical ensemble case. Okay, so here the exercise what we are doing is that finding the density matrix representation for each cases basically, and here average G will be equal to trace of rho G, we already know, so that is equal to trace of G into e raised to minus b, sorry, minus alpha nr minus beta es divided by e raised to minus alpha nr minus beta es. So this is a representation for the average value corresponding to that. Now we'll discuss an example of electron in a magnetic field by taking the quantum statistics discussion. So here, so we'll be discussing about the electron in a magnetic field. Okay, so this is magnetic field representation. So here this is we are taking it as an example for this case. Okay, we know that a single electron, when we discuss, which have a intrinsic spin value so which we represent it as h cross sigma by 2, and where sigma is actually the Pauli matrix. So it can either have up spin or it can have down spin corresponding to that, and the magnetic momentum associate will be equal to E h cross by E h cross by 2 mc. And now if I say the magnetic field I am applying along z direction, okay, so B is the magnetic field here. Okay, so the magnetic field along z direction if I apply, then we'll say that the Hamiltonian, the energy in that representation, we earlier did some similar exercise, that is mu b. Mu b is the Bohr magnetron into sigma dot b, where sigma is the Pauli matrices. So sigma z will be equal to 1 0 0 minus 1. Okay, so since the magnetic field is applying along z direction, so this I can write it as minus mu b sigma z into b. Okay, so this is how I will be representing the corresponding representation. Okay, so you just note that this is the Hamiltonian corresponding to this case, that is the energy corresponding to in electron in a magnetic field case, and where the Q is equal to e raised to minus beta h, so which is equal to e raised to minus beta. If we substitute h value, Okay, so will the q equal to e raised to minus beta h, and h we know that h is equal to minus mu b sigma z dot b, where sigma z I said that it is a Pauli matrices. Okay, so this is equal to, I can represent it as, so this become plus mu b sigma z into b. Okay, and now I can substitute in this situation. The sigma z I can represent as 1 0 0 minus 1 matrix. Now if you do the multiplication, so you'll be getting as a matrix here, so it will be e raised to beta mu b b 0 0 e raised to minus beta mu b b. Okay, now we said that the density matrix in the representation, density matrix will be equal to rho equal to e raised to minus beta e divided by trace of e raised to minus beta e. I can represent it like that, which is equal to, I can e raised to minus beta e, so that is equal to e raised to minus beta h, so that is rho. So this I can substitute as the above matrix, I can substitute here, so that is e raised to beta mu b b 0 0 e raised to minus mu b, here beta also will be there. Okay, divided by e raised to beta mu b b plus, here if you take the sum of these two elements, that is e raised to minus mu b beta, that is a trace of this matrix, right? So we can just take the trace of the matrix, will be e raised to beta mu b b plus e raised to minus mu b b beta. Okay, so this is, will be getting the representation of density matrix. And now if you want to take the average of sigma z, so that is equal to trace of rho sigma z divided by trace of rho, so that is equal to, we will be basically getting what is rho sigma z means. So we know that, so let me just represent first what is rho sigma z. Is it like similarly that we have done rho g. So rho sigma z means, so it is actually we basically we need to take e raised to beta mu b, sorry, 0 0 e raised to minus mu b b beta and now if you take the trace of this one, here a minus also will be there, minus e raised to minus mu b b beta. Okay, so this is a trace corresponding to the, now if you substitute these two things in the above equation, that is average of sigma z, so you will be basically getting sigma z is equal to e raised to beta mu b b minus e raised to minus beta mu b divided by e raised to beta mu b plus e raised to minus mu b beta b. Okay, so that is equal to, so this representation I can simply write it as tan h beta mu b b. Okay, mu b. So this is a sigma z, average of sigma value representation. So that is what I'll be getting here. Now if I apply the classical limit case, so in classical mechanics the qp will be representing here